Namaskar. The 182-day-long Dubai Expo began today, and India has set up a massive 4-floor pavilion that captivates one and all with a brilliant mix of Ayurveda, yoga, space, all showcasing India's fast-growing economy. We'll be getting live updates also from there. Our correspondent is on the ground. And the pavilion, it showcases India's art, culture, literature, cinema and cuisine from across 28 states and 8 union territories. There are 27 business verticals showcasing the world's third largest startup ecosystem, that's India, and over 150 mega cultural and business events that are planned. 26 multilateral summits also planned over the next 182 days. That's where our spotlight's going to be tonight, however. Let's begin with the headlines. Showcasing India's technical expertise and enterprise, India Pavilion opens in Dubai Expo 2020. India has one of the largest pavilions in the Expo, encompassing the theme openness, opportunities and growth. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that the pavilion exhibits vibrancy and diversity of the nation. PM Narendra Modi gives a clarion call to investors to come and invest in India. He says that India is a land of opportunities in various fields, stresses that India offers maximum growth in scale, ambition and outcomes. Prime Minister describes India as a powerhouse of talent, making many advances in research and innovation, assures the investors that reform process initiated 7 years ago will continue. Prime Minister launches Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0 and Amrut 2.0. The aim is to make cities completely garbage-free and improve sewage, septic management and make cities water safe. The missions to further India's efforts towards Sustainable Development Goals 2030. Union Information and Broadcasting, Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur launches Clean India campaign in Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh. Administers cleanliness pledge to the youth. The Union Minister also pays floral tribute to Shaheed Chandrasekhar Azad. The United States says that Pakistan has a responsibility to combat terrorism as Afghanistan's neighbor. The US continues to raise such concerns with Pakistan. The Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby reminds Pakistan of its own people's vulnerability to terror groups operating along Afghanistan's border. North Korea says it has fired a new anti-aircraft missile, the second in a week. North Korea claims the test was a success. However, Japan, South Korea, neither the United States, none of them have confirmed the second test. Our top story, Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave the inaugural welcome speech via video conference. This is at the opening of the India Pavilion at the Dubai Expo 2020 in the United Arab Emirates. In his opening remarks, the Prime Minister said that the theme of the Expo is connecting minds and creating the future. And it is India's effort to make new India. Let's take a look.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave an inaugural welcome speech via video conferencing at the opening of the India Pavilion at the Expo 2020 Dubai in the United Emirates on Friday. In his opening remarks, the Prime Minister said that the theme of the Expo 2020, connecting minds and creating the future, is seen in India's effort to make new India.
The main theme of Expo 2020 is connecting minds, creating the future. The spirit of this theme is also seen in India's efforts as we move ahead to create a new India.
The Prime Minister also said that the theme of the India Pavilion is openness, opportunities and growth. He said that the vibrancy and diversity of India is reflected in the India Pavilion.
India is famous for its vibrancy and diversity. We have different cultures, languages, cuisines, forms of art, music and dance. This diversity is reflected in our pavilion. Similarly, India is a powerhouse of talent.
The Prime Minister also invited all the potential investors to come and invest in India.
Today's India is one of the most open countries in the world. Open to learning, open to perspectives, open to innovation, open to investment. That is why I invite you to come and invest in our nation.
The Prime Minister talked about the reforms undertaken by the government and said that the reforms will continue.
Over the last 7 years, the government of India has undertaken several reforms to boost economic growth. We will keep doing more to continue this trend.
Earlier, Union Minister for Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal inaugurated the India Pavilion and also addressed the event. The Indian Pavilion at the Expo has gathered rave reviews. It stands out, featuring kinetic facade that is made up of 600 individual colourful blocks. It is developed as a mosaic of rotating panels which represent an India on the move. In the evening, the facade turns into a mesmerizing light and sound show. The first World Fair to be held in the Middle East, Expo 2020 Dubai, opened on Thursday with a lavish ceremony of fireworks, music and messaging about the power of global collaboration for a more sustainable future. Dubai, the region's tourism, trade and business hub, is hoping to boost its economy by attracting 25 million businesses and tourist visits to the World Fair, which has been built from scratch on 4.3 square kilometers of desert. The full expo site has opened its doors to exhibitors from almost 200 countries after being delayed for a year by the pandemic. The Gulf state has relaxed most coronavirus restrictions, but the expo requires face masks to be worn and for visitors over 18 to be vaccinated against or test negative for COVID-19. Bureau Report, DD India.
The Union Minister for Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal, inaugurated the Indian Pavilion and addressed the event.
I would like to thank the United Arab Emirates for giving India a pride of place at the Dubai Expo 2020 and to help us create this marvel in motion. When His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Honorable Prime Minister and Vice President of the UAE, dreamt of putting Dubai on the world map, he conceptualized and built the world's tallest tower, the Burj Khalifa. What a sensational way to declare your capabilities to the world. The world had to look up to Dubai. The relations between India and the Emirates can be traced from the Indus Valley civilization to contemporary times. One of the reasons for our large presence at the Expo is the special partnership we have with the UAE. It is constantly nurtured and strengthened by the 3.5 million strong Indian diaspora living in the UAE. I would like to express my deep gratitude to the leadership and to the people of UAE for taking care of every Indian in the UAE during the COVID pandemic-19. We are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 glorious years of India's independence. The UAE is celebrating year of 50 years of the establishment of the United Arab Emirates. As two brothers, together we are looking to the future, a bright future for the people of India and the UAE. I would like to congratulate His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and the Deputy Supreme Commander of the UAE Armed Forces, for his visionary leadership in driving the close and brotherly relations between India and the UAE. Ladies and gentlemen, I am really delighted to see all of you here today, our well-wishers from the UAE, from India, and from across the world. We share a fast-growing and multifaceted, comprehensive strategic partnership which has scaled great heights even during the pandemic. On the 22nd of September, His Excellency Dr. Thani was in Delhi, and in him I found a very sensitive person, a person who cares deeply for this relationship, and together we have launched the discussions for negotiating a comprehensive economic partnership between the UAE and India, which will define the future of this relationship. Both countries have collaborated with each other even during the COVID-19 pandemic, helped each other, and I believe, as the Honorable Prime Minister said, the very strong bonds between Prime Minister Modi and the Prime Minister and Vice President of the UAE, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, will truly take this relationship to very high levels. I am proud to say India did not view the pandemic through a narrow prism of a crisis, but converted it into an opportunity to reform, perform, and transform the country. With our belief in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family. We assisted nations across the world with medicines, with vaccines. We showed that India cares for the world. Today, India is the destination with a confluence of bright minds providing creative solutions for a better future. One of the oldest and biggest nations has now become an integral part of the world's oldest and biggest event. From the Garba dance to invoking Lord Ganpati, we have shared a message of Sukh, Shanti and Samriddhi, happiness, peace and prosperity for the entire world. The India Pavilion symbolizes pride, potential and the power of Indian citizens living all around the globe. It is a window to India's journey, the past, present and the future. It tells a story of aspiration. It serves as a symbol of audacity and an invitation to the entire world. I wish to tell the world, you can bet on India and you will certainly win. Our theme at the Dubai Expo 2020, India on the Move, describes the rise of a new India, rejuvenated, reimagined, reinvented, which faces challenges with a conviction, which converts adversities into opportunity. I am grateful to the leadership of the UAE for giving India a pride of place, an outstanding location, allowing us to build a large pavilion reflecting India's growing presence in the world. India, with its democracy, talent, and decisive leadership, will play a very important role on the world stage in the years to come. India has scale, skills, ambition, ability, efficiency, and enterprise. From launching the first cost-effective space mission to producing the world's first DNA-based vaccine, India is voicing its capabilities to the world. Riding high on reforms across all sectors, India is emerging as a global economic hub. We hope to play a leading role in the IT sector, pharma, space, textiles, and many more. I am sure the Expo 2020 and the wonderful opportunity for the world to showcase their special skills, bringing together 191 countries with pavilions of their own, supported by the leadership of the UAE. This Expo will help deepen the ties of different countries across the world with each other and with India through technology, innovation, enterprise. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sure that as you consider coming to India, as you come and see the India Pavilion and get a glimpse of what awaits you in India, as you decide to invest in India, in its ideas and in its skilled people, you stand to profit, you stand to enjoy all the glorious and magnificent offerings that India provides. Let's grow together, let's change together, let's transform together. Once again, thank you very much for joining us on this wonderful occasion. Warm welcome to all of you. May you enjoy the Dubai Expo 2020, and may God take care of each and every one of you and your families. Stay safe, stay blessed. Thank you. Namaste.
So that brings us to In Focus tonight, and we are discussing this. India's growth story on Dubai's global stage. India's growth story on Dubai's global stage. Joining us is Dr. Subhash Chandra Pandey, former Special Secretary, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, and Dilip Chenoy, Secretary General of FICCI, who is joining us from Dubai. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. Dr. Pandey, you have been a part of many such events, and now we are looking at post-COVID, you know, the new world in a sense, and India playing such a huge role. How would you, how would you describe India's participation in an event like this?
Actually, if you see this event was to take place from October last year to
Yes.
and it has been delayed by a year. And during this pandemic period, particularly, there has been a tremendous amount of reforms, business-friendly, investor-friendly reforms have taken place, and infrastructure development has been going at a breakneck speed. So these two, apart from the rapid and resilient recovery that is visible to everybody,
Yes.
that has boosted the investor sentiment, both domestic and foreign. So here is this event where India is going to showcase to international community. This is the first event actually in the pandemic with offline, such a large offline presence from over 190 countries.
Right.
Tokyo Olympics was there, but it was largely a virtual event.
True.
This is with face mask, with the vaccination certificate, etc. But still, it will see a large number of footfalls, face-to-face meetings, and the whole world now is in a post-pandemic recovery mode. So this
Right.
is very, very opportune time for India to showcase what all the reforms have been taking place, what
Okay.
great infrastructure is being built, and particularly the schemes for more than a dozen sectors, production-linked incentive schemes to boost manufacturing.
Indeed.
And
Let's bring in Mr. Chenoy because he's right there in Dubai, and this is 182 days, Mr. Chenoy. So over that period of time, what kind of investments are we likely to see coming into our country, and to further strengthen the vibrancy of our country and our economy?
So, Mark, it's actually a three-pronged strategy. We have one floor being dedicated to the states, and as we speak, we have Gujarat here in the second floor, and we have the Ministry of Non-Renewable Energy and the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change in the sector floor. So they are having multiple meetings. I think in the environment and climate change and the non-renewable energy, we have over 16 meetings. We have over 150 speakers. We have many countries actually participating, and you will see a lot of relationships being built. This region has seen a lot of funding of Indian renewable energy companies there. In the Gujarat state, they've already had a series of meetings over the last 2 days, even before the fair began, and they have planned a lot of activities going forward. Every week there will be at least another state coming in, another sector coming in. As you know, the themes are there. So we see immense potential for each of the states and each of the industry people in the state or the sector to actually reach out to new partners, seek new markets. And many people forget that the UAE is among the top 3 trading partners of India. And we just had last week the intention of a strategic partnership between the two countries, as you heard at the inaugural, both the Commerce Minister and the Minister from UAE talking about. So huge opportunity. The India Pavilion, 3 floors, immense opportunity. We also have retail stores in gems and jewelry and others, which are actually going to do a lot of things there. A blend of culture, business, fun, and the fair is on till actually 1 a.m. every morning. So a lot of opportunity for people to actually witness the change that is happening in India. And as the Prime Minister said, the theme is openness, opportunity, and growth.
Absolutely. And the fact also is that we are the 3rd largest ecosystem in the world, and that's going to be that's showcased. That's part of our of the dynamism of our country. And you have mentioned that every week, there's going to be a focus on every state. So there's plenty of opportunity for states to showcase their own abilities. But if we look at, specifically with terms of the business verticals and things like that, what are we, what are we showcasing? You did mention renewable energy. What's the business of the future?
So if you look at that, we have 5 startups every week coming in here. In fact, in the corporate floor itself, we have Dream Sports, actually a startup there. We also have a very heavy investor in India, which like Facebook, coming in there. We have many corporates like Reliance, Adani, Vedanta, ITC. Actually here, if I just turn my camera, you'll see the entire corporate floor in front of me. I think we are seeing a huge lot of interest here. At the inaugural, we had a lot of global Indian leaders who came in to be with us, and we expect each of these companies to actually find an opportunity and go forward. So a lot, we start with renewable energy and climate change. We go to urban development. We then have sectors such as steel, textiles. We have the information, the media and entertainment sector coming in. We are getting the sports sector coming in. So multiple sectors over the themes till the end. We have fintech, water, education, skills, learning. Many Indian universities and schools have presence in Dubai, and there are a lot of after the new education policy, a lot of opportunities to collaborate in that area.
And do investors, relish also the culture of India, which is pretty much on being showcased, not only the literature, cinema, but the cuisine. What's the kind of interest, and perhaps through that, is there an avenue for larger investments?
Yeah, so if you look at it, we have a food court and a fine dining restaurant here. which is actually going to showcase the different cuisines of the different countries. We have a facade that is going to light up every night with different things, and I'm sure, post the cultural program that is going on, the minister will come here, and our viewers will get an opportunity to see that. A lot of opportunity in different areas. There are a lot of Indian restaurants and Indian food available, not only in Dubai, but Indian food is popular around the world, and you'll see glimpses of that over the next 6 months.
Dr. Pandey, in planning something like this, what sort of thought process goes into it? And it is probably pretty tough. I mean, here we have 182 days. The massive pavilion that has been built. You said, of course, it was meant to happen last year, but the whole point is, for our viewers and for the general citizen, they probably want to know, how much effort goes into something like this.
No, actually, for events like this, the preparations start years ago. I retired in June 2019, and even 6 to 9 months before that, the conceptualization had started, planning had started, making estimates, what kind, size, what layout, how much plinth area, what are the terms of creating this pavilion, what happens to the pavilion after the event is over, what is the use agreements on those, contracting. So you can imagine that effort started in 2018 itself vigorously. Of course, concept was there even when it was announced earlier. So it is a hard work of nearly 3 years. A very detailed, meticulous planning goes into these events, because we realize this is a universal thing. Last it happened in Milan in 2015. So after 2000, it is a once in 5 year where we get to see all investors, all business community all over the international under one venue. So we gave it very high importance, and therefore the planning started right enough. We would have been prepared even for 2020, I would say, the way we had started in advance. But this gap has given, in a sense, an opportunity, as I saw, that in last year we have converted crisis into opportunity, and a large number of business-friendly, investor-friendly reforms have been launched and infrastructure. So this is a very, very big plus, and the open invitation to investors to come. And they really don't need India. They're gone are the days where India needed to say that Make in India. The message is already reached the international community, and now the nuts and bolts of rolling out those investments, fructifying on ground. That work is.
But Mr. Chenoy, what sort of a role do industry chambers play right from the conceptualization stage to the implementation? Obviously, at the end of the day, it is business to business. Government to government contacts. Government can be a facilitator to actually do the business deals. It's up to industry chambers, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you actually look at it, we do have Mr. Narendra, who's the president of CII and the CII team here. We have Vineet Agarwal, who's the president of ASSOCHAM here. Of course, Mr. Uday Shankar, the president of FICCI, Mr. Sanjeev Mehta, the senior vice president of FICCI, and Mr. Surkant Panda, the vice president of FICCI, and of course, Sangeeta Reddy, who's actually looking at a healthcare, collaboration between India and the UAE. They're all here. And, you saw just walking past behind me, the chairman of the Apparel Textile Promotional Council, Mr. Shakti Vale. So if you look at that, all very senior leaders, you had Mr. Anil Agarwal here, you had Mr. Lakshmi Mittal here. UAE is not only a trading partner, but is also a hub. It's a hub to connect to both Europe and to Africa. So you have, the Software Export Promotion Council chairman here. So you're having a lot of people. You have, of course, the FIO chairman, Mr. Shakti Vale is now the FIO chairman. He used to be the textile chairman earlier. So many business delegations coming in. You have the Gujarat business delegation here. You have a large delegation, FICCI delegation in the renewable space coming in here. They're meeting their counterparts. So right throughout the 6 months, you see national chambers, state chambers, sectoral chambers, export promotion councils, a whole lot of people coming in here and building, at least contact. It's very important after nearly 18 months of no physical contact. This is perhaps one of the few occasions where you have, physical meetings and, a lot of things there. And Dubai has got also a lot of other things to offer. And I'm sure that during this, the period of this expo, we'll also conclude the special trade agreement that we'll have. And that's another landmark in our already very strong relationship.
Mr. Chenoy, the Prime Minister did, refer to quite a few sectors. He himself spoke about academia, he spoke about culture, he spoke about health, textiles, infrastructure. It seems to be, extremely well-rounded. When we look at, go ahead. That's what I was wanting to say about
absolutely. The Commerce Minister is meeting leaders tomorrow. He will meet, the largest infrastructure company in this part, which is DP World. In fact, the pavilion is next to us. We of course have, you mentioned of art and culture. We have Mr. A.R. Rahman, Mr. Vivek Oberoi, and Mr. R. Madhavan in the audience. We also have Mr. Baba Ramdev here with us in Dubai. So it's a mix of all different things. Patanjali is also a company that does a lot of, exports and activities here. So do the other companies here. Unilever has got a huge presence here. Mr. Sanjeev Mehta used to head this region, before he came to India. So there's a lot of connectivity. Many Indians hold significant positions in UAE, and of course you have the Lulu Group, who's also a corporate sponsor. You have the Esther Group. A lot of different groups from UAE also are participating in the India Pavilion as we, as it unfolds. So there's a lot of opportunity in all sectors: infrastructure, healthcare, pharmaceuticals. As the Prime Minister mentioned, startups. Of course, we have Harsh Jain and Ritish Agarwal present in the delegation. That is Dream Sports and Oyo. So, and a lot of other startups are also present here. There's a startup called Shaikokan. I don't know if I'm allowed to do it, but they actually have developed a product which has made the entire pavilion safe.
Okay.
It's a kind of a thing. So a lot of innovations here, and we have Agni Cool, which is a rocket which has been developed by Indian startups from Bangalore. A lot of interesting stuff actually happening here.
Fascinating. And a final question to you about since you're on the ground, the place itself. I mean, the choice of the place that was given to the Indian Pavilion is a pride of place, as the minister was mentioning. So, I mean, perhaps you can describe that a little bit. And it's also, I think that the Chinese Pavilion is reasonably close by as well.
Yeah, so our immediate neighbors are Israel, Italy, Japan, USA. Of course, we have DP World also there, and we have Firdaus, which is the studio run by A.R. Rahman in Kazakhstan. India is one of the larger pavilions. This pavilion is going to remain after the expo, while some other pavilions will be broken down and new buildings will come in. And this plot and this building is going to remain here for the use for India. Going forward to display technology for trade and culture going forward. We do have, on the third floor, which is right behind me, a multi-purpose hall and a theater that can screen movies, that can do a lot of cultural things. So there's a huge opportunities for collaboration as we talk. And, this building will remain, here post-expo as we, till with some of the other buildings like the Al Wasl Plaza and the Sustainability and Mobility Pavilions.
Mr. Dilip Chenoy, Secretary General of FICCI, thank you very much for being with us. And Dr. Subhash Chandra Pandey also, thank you very much for your inputs and telling us a lot more about how much planning goes into an event like this. Now let's move on to our next story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0 and Amrit 2.0. The goal is to make cities completely garbage-free. And the Prime Minister said that cleanliness is a lifestyle and a mantra. And the goal of Amrit 2.0, what's it? It's to improve sewage, septic management, and to make cities water safe. These missions are also in keeping with the achievements of the Sustainable Development Goals of 2030.
स्वच्छता एक दिन का, एक पखवाड़े का, एक साल का या कुछ लोगों का ही काम है, ऐसा नहीं है। स्वच्छता ये जीवन शैली है, स्वच्छता ये जीवन मंत्र है.
Ahead of Gandhi Jayanti on the 2nd of October, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0 and Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation 2.0, designed to make cities garbage-free and water-secure. The PM said that while these missions are the result of inspiration by Mahatma Gandhi, the next phase of Swachh Bharat Mission and Mission Amrit are important steps towards fulfilling the dreams of Baba Saheb Ambedkar, who believed in urban development as a great means of removing inequality. The PM said that the goal of Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0 is to make the cities completely free of garbage.
100% वेस्ट सेग्रीगेशन के साथ साथ इससे जुड़ी आधुनिक मटेरियल रिकवरी फैसिलिटीज बनाने का लक्ष्य तय किया है. इन आधुनिक फैसिलिटीज में कूड़े कचरे को छांटा जाएगा, रिसाइकिल हो पाने वाली चीजों को प्रोसेस किया जाएगा, अलग किया जाएगा. इसके साथ ही शहरों में बने कूड़े के पहाड़ों को प्रोसेस करके पूरी तरह समाप्त किया जाएगा.
Prime Minister Modi said that when the country started the campaign in 2014, less than 20% of the waste generated every day in the country was processed. Now, the country is processing about 70% of the daily waste, adding that the target for the nation is to achieve 100% waste processing. The PM said that in the next phase of Amrut, sewage and septic management would be improved and attempts would be made to make cities water secure.
मिशन अमृत के अगले चरण में देश का लक्ष्य है सीवेज और सेप्टिक मैनेजमेंट बढ़ाना, अपने शहरों को वाटर सिक्योर सिटीज बनाना और ये सुनिश्चित करना कि हमारी नदियों में कहीं पर भी कोई गंदा नाला न गिरे.
The PM also appealed to mayors from across the country to work for the welfare of street vendors and hawkers. Prime Minister Modi also reiterated that the PM's Swanidhi Yojana has come as a new ray of hope for such people.
क्या आप अपने शहर में 1000, 2000, 5000, 20000, 25000 ऐसे हमारे साथी होंगे? क्या उनके जीवन को बदलने के लिए कदम नहीं उठा सकते? मैं पक्का कहता हूं दोस्तों, भले ये प्रोजेक्ट भारत सरकार का हो, भले ये पीएम स्वनिधि हो, लेकिन अगर आप इसको करेंगे तो उस गरीब के दिल में जगह आपके लिए होगी.
Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0 and the next phase of Mission Amrut will effectively address the challenges of rapid urbanization in the country. Besides, they will also help contribute towards achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals 2030. With inputs from Sudhakar Das in Delhi, Bureau Report, DD India.
The Union Information and Broadcasting, Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur launched the Clean India campaign in Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh, and he administered a cleanliness pledge to the youth. The minister appealed to the people to take an active part in the Clean India campaign. Anurag Singh Thakur also paid floral tributes to Shahid Chandrasekhar Azad.
Say no to plastic. टी का जो हो गया है ना, टी को झेक कर दिया कि आर्टिस्टिक टी है, टी है, टी कैसे हुआ है?
Cursive writing.
Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Youth Affairs and Sports Anurag Singh Thakur appreciated the efforts of youth to promote cleanliness in Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh.
कहाँ से इतना सुंदर बनाते भैया? स्वच्छता ही सेवा.
The Union Minister also took part in a cleanliness campaign and inspired others to adopt cleanliness habit by doing कार सेवा.
अपने आसपास के इलाकों को साफ रखें और मैंने इसलिए प्रयागराज की इस ऐतिहासिक धरती को चुना जहां संगम भी है, संस्कृति भी है और संस्कार भी है. गंगा यमुना सरस्वती जी का मिलन भी होता है. इस त्रिवेणी से भारत भर के करोड़ों लोगों को कहना चाहता हूं, कृपया करके गंदगी ना फैलाएं.
The minister also offered prayers at River Ganga amid Vedic chants. Earlier, Union Minister Anurag Singh Thakur launched one-month-long Clean India campaign in Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh. Anurag Singh Thakur said that every day there will be an assessment to find out which village of a panchayat has run the maximum cleanliness campaigns. The Union Minister also said that after independence, successive governments forgot the message of Mahatma Gandhi on the issue of maintaining cleanliness. He also appealed to people to take part in the campaign.
अगर आप में से किसी को देश की आजादी की लड़ाई लड़ने का अवसर नहीं मिला है तो कोई बात नहीं। आजादी की लड़ाई शहीद भगत सिंह, राजगुरु चंद्रशेखर आजाद जैसे बहुत सारे हमारे वीर नौजवानों ने लड़ी है। उन्होंने अपना बलिदान दिया है। मैं आपसे बलिदान नहीं मांगता, आपका लहू नहीं मांगता, लेकिन आपका कीमती समय, आपकी सोच, आपका योगदान मांगता हूं। उन्होंने बलिदान दिया था, आप अपना योगदान दीजिए।
The Union Minister also released a book based on cleanliness. He administered the pledge of cleanliness to youth. He gave the slogan of Swachh Bharat, Sundar Bharat, that is Clean India, Beautiful India. He also visited Chandrasekhar Azad Park and paid floral tribute to the freedom fighter Shahid Chandrasekhar Azad. With inputs from Dheeraj Kumar, Bureau Report, DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will interact with Gram Panchayats and Pani Samitis, these are village and water sanitation committees, on the Jal Jeevan mission on the 2nd of October 2021, and this will happen via video conference. The Prime Minister will launch the Jal Jeevan mission app for improving awareness among stakeholders for greater transparency and accountability of schemes under the mission. Prime Minister will also launch Rashtriya Jal Jeevan Kosh, where any individual, institution, corporate or philanthropist, be it in India or abroad, can contribute to help provide tap water connection in every rural household, school, Anganwadi center, ashram shala and other public institutions. Nationwide Gram Sabhas on a Jal Jeevan mission will also take place during the day. The Gram Sabhas will discuss planning and management of village water supply systems and also work towards long-term water security. Well, the Pani Samitis, they play a key role in planning, implementation, management, operation and maintenance of village water supply systems, thereby providing clean tap water to every household on a regular and long-term basis. Out of over 6 lakh villages, the Pani Samitis have been constituted in around 3.5 lakh villages. More than 7.1 lakh women have been trained to test the quality of water by using field test kits. On the 15th of August 2019, Prime Minister announced the Jal Jeevan mission to provide clean tap water to every household. At the time of the launch, only 3.23 crore, that's 70% of rural households, had tap water supply. India has India has decided to impose reciprocity. This is on UK nationals who are arriving into India from the UK. These new regulations will come into effect from October 4th, and they will be applicable to all UK nationals arriving from the UK. So from October 4th, all UK nationals arriving in India from the UK, irrespective of their vaccination status, they will have to undertake these measures, which are pre-departure COVID-19 RT-PCR test within 72 hours before travel, COVID-19 RT-PCR test on arrival at the airport, COVID-19 RT-PCR test on day 8 after arrival, mandatory quarantine at home or in the destination address for 10 days after arrival in India. So the authorities in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and they would be taking these steps to implement the new measures. The Supreme Court told the agitating farmers who had blocked the highways that they have strangulated the entire city. The Apex Court was hearing petitions to remove the road blockades at the Delhi borders. The Supreme Court has allowed the centre, in fact, to file a formal application to make farmer unions a party to the plea seeking the opening of the road blockade at the Delhi-Uttar Pradesh border.
The Supreme Court has expressed displeasure over the prolonged blockade of highways in connection with the farmers' protest. A bench headed by Justice A.M. Khanvilkar told the council appearing for petitioners, Kisan Mahapanchayat, a body of farmers and agriculturists, that once they've approached the court against the 3 farm laws, they should have trust in the judicial system and let the matter be decided. The apex court was hearing petitions to remove the road blockades at the Delhi borders. The Supreme Court said that the redressal of problems can be through the judicial forum or through parliamentary debates. But how can the highways be blocked? And this is happening perpetually. Kisan Mahapanchayat in its petition earlier had asked the top court to allow a union of 200 farmers to hold peaceful, unarmed and non-violent satyagrah at the Jantar Mantar, calling the Delhi police's refusal a violation of their basic democratic rights. The Supreme Court allowed the centre to file a formal application to make farmer unions party to the play, seeking opening of road blockade at Delhi-Uttar Pradesh border. The next hearing in the matter will be on October 4th. The top court asked the petitioners to file an affidavit declaring that they are not part of the protest or responsible for the blocking of the national highways at the borders of the national capital. Bureau Report, DD India.
The latest data from the Ministry of Finance and GST collections, this indicates that the economy is recovering at a fast pace. So the gross GST revenue collected for the month of September 2021 is 1,17,010 crore rupees, and the revenue for the month of September 2021, this is the revenue is 23% higher than the GST revenue of the same month last year. During the month, revenues from import of goods, it was 30% higher, and revenues from domestic transactions, which include services, these revenues are 20% higher than the revenues from sources, the same sources during the same month last year. The revenue for September 2020 was in itself at a growth rate of 4% over the revenue of September 2019, I beg your pardon, at 91,916 crore rupees. So the average monthly gross GST collection for the second quarter of the current year has been 1,15 crore, 1.15 lakh crore rupees, which is in fact 5% higher than the average monthly collection of 1.1 lakh crore, 1.10 lakh crores. This is for the first quarter of the year. The centre had also released GST compensation of 22,000 crore rupees to the states to meet their GST revenue gap. The Government of India had issued an order revising the items and norms of assistance under the State Disaster Response Fund, that's the SDRF, making therein a provision for the grant of ex gratia payment to the next of kin of the deceased due to COVID-19. This enabling provision in SDRF norms, this has made, it's been made so as to implement the earlier guidelines issued by the National Disaster Management Authority, that's the NDMA, in compliance with an order passed by the Supreme Court. The Union Minister of Home Affairs and Cooperation, Amit Shah, has approved the release of the second installment of the central share of the SDRF amounting to 7,274.40 crore rupees. The step will facilitate state governments to have enough funds in their SDRF. Second installment of the central share of SDRF, which amounts to 7,274.40 crore rupees, and approval for the release of the second installment in advance to 23 states. The installment amounting to 1,599.20 crore rupees released in advance to 5 states. The state governments to have 23,186.40 crore rupees in their SDRF, including states' share during FY 2021-22, the funds to grant ex gratia to the next of kin of the deceased due to COVID-19. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu urged India's young startups to come up with innovative and out-of-box solutions to everyday problems faced by the elderly. Addressing the gathering after presenting the National Award, Vayoshreshta Saman of 2021, he did so at the Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi, and the Vice President said that taking care of the elderly should not be the responsibility of the government alone, and each one of us should come forward and join this noble cause. The Vice President conferred awards in 13 categories to individuals and organizations for their services towards senior citizens. The award for the Institute for Awareness and Research related to old age was given to St. John's Medical College. The state of Kerala was awarded for the best state in implementing the Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act of 2007. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited was awarded in the public sector enterprise category. Vice President dedicated the helpline service number, which is 14567, to the elder line for the nation. He also launched the Senior Able Citizens for Re-Employment in Dignity. This is called SACRED, S-A-C-R-E-D portal. This is to enable senior citizens who are seeking work opportunities to find jobs. The Vice President said that the health facilities for senior citizens should be ensured and their rights should be protected. Venkaiah Naidu also praised the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment for the initiatives for the welfare of the elderly. Our next story. The United States has said that it has been very honest about its concerns about Pakistan being a safe haven for terrorists along the border areas of Afghanistan. The Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby told a press conference on Thursday that the neighbor of Afghanistan, Pakistan, has a responsibility to combat terrorism, and the U.S. continues to raise its concerns with Pakistan on this front.
Very honest about our concerns with Pakistan for a long time. About the safe havens that exist on their side of the border and along that spine. And those concerns are still valid today, and we continue to have candid conversations with Pakistani leaders about our concerns in that regard. And I think it's important to continue to remind that the Pakistani people likewise have been rendered victim by terrorist threats that emanate from those groups and along that same border.
Further answering a question on the formation of the Quad, John Kirby said that there are lots of outcomes to the Quad relationship and they don't all have to do with China.
Region. It's not that the Quad exists simply to counter China or their influence. Now, obviously, what China's doing in the Indo-Pacific region, the aggressiveness, the coercive nature with which they try to press their claims certainly is a frequent topic of discussion with all our allies and partners, and certainly inside the Quad. What the Quad arrangement gives us is another terrific opportunity to work multilaterally on all kinds of initiatives that can help create what we really want here, which is a free and open Indo-Pacific region.
The U.S. and Chinese military officials held frank, in-depth talks this week on a range of defense issues, the Pentagon had said on Wednesday, as the countries grapple over their competing interests in the Indo-Pacific region. The talks were held 2 weeks after the United States, Britain and Australia announced a security pact that will provide Australia with nuclear-powered submarines, a move denounced by Beijing. A majority of the U.S. House of Representatives voted to approve a Senate-passed measure that avoids a partial government shutdown by funding federal agencies into the new fiscal year. The U.S. President Joe Biden signed the legislation before the deadline to avoid a partial federal shutdown and keep the government funded through the 3rd of December. The House approved the short-term funding measure by a 254 to 175 vote, not long after the Senate's passage in a 65-35 vote. The large majority of Republicans in both chambers voted against it, so the legislation was needed to keep the government running once the current budget year ended at midnight on Thursday. The passage will buy lawmakers more time to craft the spending measures that will fund federal agencies and the programs that they administer. Easing one of the toughest COVID-19 restrictions, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison announced an 18-month ban on Australians travelling abroad. It will be lifted from next month. That's what he said. The first phase of this plan will focus on citizens and permanent residents being allowed to leave Australia, with further changes expected to permit foreign travellers to enter the country. Reopening the international border for citizens and permanent residents will be linked to the establishment of home quarantine in Australia's 8 states and territories. Since March 2020, only some Australians and others have entered the country due to strict rules. Outbound travel is also banned without an exception. North Korea has fired a newly developed anti-aircraft missile in the latest in its recent series of weapons tests amid denuclearization talks with the United States. It was North Korea's second known weapons test this week after launching a previously unseen hypersonic missile. It has also fired ballistic missiles and a cruise missile with potential nuclear capabilities in recent weeks. Conducted by the Academy of Defense Science, the test was aimed at the practical functionality of the missile's launcher, radar, comprehensive battle, command vehicle, and combat performance. China's top state-owned energy companies have been ordered to ensure there are adequate fuel supplies as the approaching winter is coming at all costs now. The country is battling a power crisis that threatens to hit growth in the world's #2 economy. China has been hit by widespread power cuts that have closed or partially closed factories, hitting production and global supply chains. The crisis has been caused by a confluence of factors, which include the rising overseas demand. This is because the economies are reopening, record coal prices as well, state electricity prices, which have controls and tough emission targets. So more than a dozen provinces, in fact, and regions have been forced to impose curbs on energy usage in recent months in China. Ecuador's national police on Thursday sent in 400 officers to restore order at one of the country's largest prisoners after a riot this week in which at least 116 inmates died and 80 were injured. Soldiers searched prison cells for weapons in the aftermath of the country's deadliest outbreak of prison violence. The police were searching for the culprits who started the riot. Dozens of relatives of inmates in the Penitenciera del Litoral in the country's largest city of Guayaquil gathered outside a morgue seeking information on loved ones. The violence came after 79 and 22 people died in prison riots in February and in July, respectively. Authorities linked the earlier clashes to rival local gangs with ties to transnational criminal groups battling over control of Ecuador's drug trade. Now, while not a large drug producer, Ecuador is a major transit hub for cocaine from neighboring Colombia and Peru, which is bound for the United States and Europe, much of it concealed in legitimate container cargo, which departs Guayaquil's port. And with that, we conclude News Night for tonight. Thank you for your time. Namaskar.